Introduction. Polling suggests that nearly half the U.S. population and nearly all Republicans do not believe in evolution or climate change by human agency, both of which are considered settled science. Scientists and most educated secular Americans are concerned that a majority of our elected representatives in the U.S. House and Senate are science denies. How did things come to this? What leads so many, in a technologically advanced nation, to resist scientific evidence in favor of other forms of knowing or believing? What is the basis of resistance to evidence-based ways of seeing the world? Perhaps it's the nature of religions. Some knowledgeable authorities see little or no disconnect between science and religion, and maintain that the two do not necessarily conflict. Perhaps you have heard the phrase non-overlapping magisteria, a construct introduced by the late Stephen Jay Gould, a self-described Jewish agnostic who was a scientist of the first rank. In an effort to calm the waters between two contrasting forms of knowing, Gould wrote, "Few scientists at the time 1999 or now agree with Gould's diplomacy of interpreting nice at the cost of denying factual reality." Among the earliest critics of non-overlapping magisterial was Richard Dawkins, who wrote, "Religion transcends morals and values. Religion posits a universe with a supernatural presence, in which divine interventions via prayers and miracles represent material claims. Any religion without a controlling deity would be far different from Christianity and the other Abrahamic religions." Doubt and skepticism. Doubt and skepticism naturally lead to recognition that science and religion dramatically contradict each other. Some may want to pretend the reality is otherwise, but it's not. We have a Republican Party and a large segment of the population clinging to ignorance and magical thinking, in good part because religion gets a pass. Our customs and traditions largely exempt religion from doubt and skepticism. Religions always discourage their flocks of human sheep from applying doubt and skepticism to their dogmas and rituals. I well remember 12 years of parochial school classes. One lesson I recall was that it was not a compliment to be called a doubting Thomas. This likely dates to the 5th century. A doubting Thomas was a skeptic, a doubter who hesitates or demurs to believe without credible evidence. The slur, which is actually a compliment from a rational perspective, has its roots in the legend of the Apostle Thomas, who refused to believe that the resurrected Jesus had appeared to 10 other apostles, at least until such time that he could see and touch the wounds suffered by Jesus on the cross. From a secular perspective, Thomas was a man well endowed with common sense. Who would believe such a preposterous claim today? Certainly nobody not institutionalized or dependent upon powerful meds. The natural inclination of children is to ask questions unless their curiosities are discouraged. A personal example from a 4th grade religion class illustrates the problem. I asked Sister Lucy how Noah and a few helpers gathered all those animals and how they got them all on one boat and what kept them from eating each other, and how did the crew deal with all that poop, and Sister cut me off at that point and repeated the doubting Thomas admonition, which served as a Catholic school version of what would later become the Miranda warning. She also said if I kept talking like that I'm probably be turned into salt, and wouldn't that be a lesson now? Opposition to free inquiry was and continues to be the reality for children and adults under the spell of religions everywhere. As a commentator at Addicting Info put it recently, science, by its very nature, questions and is therefore the enemy. Conflicts over magisteria. Science and religion have conflicting perspectives on endless issues. A few examples. Science holds that the age of the universe is 13.82 billion years, dating from the start as a Big Bang. Many Christians favor a somewhat younger time frame, 6,000 years, initiated by a God's 6-day work week. Science favors testing of truth claims. Religions demand belief of revealed truths. Science teaches doubt and skepticism. Religion condemns both. Religion renders group identity more consequential than facts. Direct correlations have been found between religious conviction and an unwillingness to accept results of empirical scientific investigation. This renders religious faith an obstacle to understanding the world. If religions were personal and private and did not animate adherents to public policies to conform with religious dogma, there would be no worries. We could enjoy a secular society wherein church and state truly were separate. This is far from the case in America. 3 recent egregious examples of this conflict of magisteria can be offered. Judge Roy Moore, the Chief Justice of the Alabama Supreme Court. He first gained notoriety for placing a Ten Commandments monument on public property and ignoring a court order to remove it. His latest assault on separation of church/state tradition and law was to declare, as Chief Justice, that the First Amendment only applies to Christians. Jody Hice, a Republican member of the new freshman class in the House of Representatives. Representative Hice stated on the House floor that blood moons are fulfilling biblical prophecies. Pope Francis. The Pope just recognized the International Association of Exorcists, declaring the body under Catholic canon law a form of charity. The older generations, in which I am irretrievably stuck, will be gone soon enough. Perhaps our successors, freer from the stifling customs and traditions that affix religious nonsense into the DNA and discouraged science, will find skepticism and doubt more appealing. As Lawrence Krauss hinted, it is naive to imagine that we can overcome centuries of religious intransigence in a single generation through education. He also added this. Yorker, March 23, 2015. Doubt and skepticism are foundations of science. Faith that informs public policy in democracies is a barrier to freedom and real wellness. Consider Colonel Robert Greene Ingersoll's words near the end of his epic speech entitled, "The Gods. Be well, be free, and look on the bright side."